To a new episode of Let's Chat on the Plug in India channel. We have many questions from all of you, and a lot of you want to know how you can set up a charging station. You all want to know whether there is a viable business model for this and what are the requirements for doing so. Many of you want to set up charge infrastructure within your own towns and within your own cities, which whereby you will enable other people to use electric vehicles and possibly other businesses as well. Here is a startup called OnePlug, which is enabling chargepreneurs like yourselves to achieve your goals. We have with us the founder of OnePlug, Mr. Manish Agarwal, who, along with his team, has created really affordable and very safe charging equipment for all electro.
Yeah, thanks, Rafi. It's always a pleasure to talk to Plug in India.
Thanks, Manish. So, Manish, we first interacted with your team in February 2019, where we organized the Delhi Dehradun Electric Car Rally. We saw a very early version of the OnePlug charging equipment in action. And back then, it was a dumb and unintelligent charger. Since then, your team has added a lot of features in the hardware and the software. We'll talk about those later. But first, will you please introduce OnePlug to our viewers? What is the vision behind starting the company itself?
Yeah, hi, Rafi. So,
Yes.
OnePlug, the vision behind the OnePlug of starting a OnePlug is to fill in. As you know, that OnePlug is a technology company, especially set up for filling in a gap in a market for when it comes to EVSEs. So, when we started this company, we saw a huge gap in the market that there were EVs which were there. I mean, those are the EVs which you don't recognize as an EV, like e-rickshaws, the two-wheelers. We did not have too many cars, but we still had the market for two and three-wheelers. And there was no dedicated company which was setting up a charging infrastructure. That was the one motivation. Second was that most of these electric vehicle EVSEs were very expensive. They were not very affordable. And third was that technology was not mature to a level where it was there was no Indianization that was done. So OnePlug was started with a vision to develop an Indianized technology to bring out an affordable EVSEs so that the growth of electric vehicles can be promoted in India. So that was the basic vision
Awesome.
of the company.
Okay, Manish, thanks for that. And let's get now right into the charging units themselves. Let's talk about the AC charging equipment and the hardware. We'd like to understand the hardware features of your AC OnePlug charging equipment. Could you just give us a rundown of what features it has and why they are there?
So, Rafi, the last time when you saw the OnePlug, as you rightly said, it was a dumb and unintelligent charging station. Though it had all the safety features built in, like it had over voltage protection, under voltage protection,
True.
it had leakage current protection, it has residual current protection. These are basically the
True.
protections which a normal 3-pin socket does not have it. So when we started OnePlug, we did a survey and realized that most of Indians were still charging their EV with a normal 15 amp socket or a 5 amp socket, which had all these problems of not having the voltage protection, not having the current protection. We had provided that in the first release. Now what we have done as an hardware improvement in the OnePlug AC charging is we have taken a leap forward, and now we are on the next level where all of our equipments of the OnePlug, they come with an surge protection which was not there. So surge is something which is very dangerous. I mean, you cannot predict a surge.
True.
Most often we realize surge as only which happens through a lightning. Yes, it is the
Right.
most understandable surge, but it is also on a probability, it is the least surge that can happen. I mean, it is the probability of having it is a very, very low. But the whatever the surge which happens, which you don't realize, is whenever you switch on or switch off a AC, or whenever you
That's
switch on
right.
switch off your refrigerator, or you take out a socket and then suddenly take it out. So that every time the sudden demand in voltage will create a surge in your circuit, and that surge can make the EVSs to go down. So all this OnePlug comes with a surge protection of up to 4,000 volt, which is a significant amount of protection, which we believe will cover 99.99% of the surge cases. So that's the surge protection that we have already added. It's a homegrown solution. We are not using any surge protection device. It's a homegrown solution which has been used to keep the cost in mind. And
Right.
second, what we have added is the basic up protection, which was always there. But now OnePlug has gone to the next level where it identifies whether you have the proper earthing or not. And your earthing is something which you do it today and tomorrow it can go bad. And that's a very common case. People don't realize when they set up a charging station, the earthing will be there proper. But after some time, either the ingredient which are put to do the earthing have gone bad or things like that. The earthing can go bad over the time. So one plug station, every time it switches on, it checks for the earthing. So it ensures that you always have a earthing because it's required for when you are charging a three-wheeler. The third thing what we have added is we have added an authorization authentication where each charger has a unique key, so which generates an OTP which can only be used for that charger. So this is an authorization which was not there, that whether am I authorized to use the charger. So now that problem is solved, that yes, if I'm a fleet owner and I want this charger to be authorized to be used only for my driver, so this problem has been solved now. More importantly, we have added something which we learned it from the experience. So if time permits, I'll narrate a small story what had happened. When we started charging electric vehicles and there were 100 chargers at one particular point, then what we realized is that a lot of mobile calls started getting dropped. I mean, there was a problem that we immediately figured out that it could be only because of the EMF. And then our chargers, not only our chargers, any charger creates an EMF field. And when there are vicinity of 100 chargers, 50 chargers, it creates a significant enough field for a calls to get disturbed, calls to get dropped. And so now the next level of one plug charger has taken this care. I mean, has taken care of this, and now we have this EMF field shielding completely done. So our bigger installations will not have the call drop.
Yes. That's fantastic, Manish. You have even thought of some very innovative ways to do it. Tell us a little bit more about the fire safety and how you ensured that.
Yeah, so fire safety, our previous version had some amount of wood and a plastic which was not fire resistant. So now we have worked on that part, and now the entire structure has been converted from a wall mount to now it is a pole type structure which has to be fixed on a floor and with a height which is very convenient for people to plug in and plug out, and the entire structure is made of steel. So that portion of fire safety has been taken care. But with the steel, the additional risk of short circuit and all that happens. So we have to take care of certain things that the short circuits do not happen. The circuit is properly shielded. So it's a very safe system compared to the version 1. Version 2 is far advanced when it comes to fire safety.
And certainly. I mean, I think I was wrong in calling it a dumb charger earlier. It was doing a lot before also. But now it's compared to that one, this is really intelligent.
Yeah, that was an electrical device, and now we call it as an electro software device, which has an intelligent software built into it. So which makes it intelligent. I mean, with the electricals, we had sorted out most of the things, but there was a logic part which was remaining, and there were certain things which we learned in the field, like EMF shielding, which even we, in our wildest dream also we had not thought of that we would require an
EMF shielding. Exactly. What was that story, Manish, that you said you would say if there was time?
Yeah, so the story was like that. We had set up a charging station of 50 points and then moved on to the setting up the next charging station of about close to 100 points. And then one thing we noticed is that whenever I would call my supervisor or the person who is in charge there, and he would always not take my call. And then whenever I call him in off time, when there are not too many people, he would be able to take my call. And then I asked him what happened tonight. And then he said, sir, the entire lot was full. There was not even a single vehicle. So I said, were you busy? He said, no, I was not busy. It is a network which is doing this funny thing. And then I saw this very consistently, that this has always been happening, that whenever there are so many vehicles which are getting charged, my calls are getting dropped. And then the investigation started that it has something to do with EMF. This was a very expensive experiment, equipment, which normally a normal manufacturer would not have it. So we had access to that in our lab. So when we tested the EMF field, and then we figured out that it is going to a level where there's a possibility of, like, it's almost the same way like the mobile call jammer or something works.
Right.
Like that's how you
so jam actually jamming the mobile calls.
we were creating a jammer in our own station, so that was a funny part. And then, but we solved it. Now our stations, you can talk, you can do video call. I mean, otherwise there's a disruption in the network.
Was there some hardware that you installed, some specific thing that you installed within the charger to stop the EMF happening?
Yeah, so we basically have two variants. We have a gun version, which has which runs on a 48 volt and provides a current of 18 amps to 25 amps. It is a DC charger, which is specifically used for charging an e-rickshaws. Now, e-rickshaws have a very interesting problem, that most of these e-rickshaw owners, they carry their own charger. And those chargers are either transformer based, which are low cost, or very few of them will be of SMPS based, but not of very higher efficiency. So we had
Right.
multiple problems here. So one was the charger which they were carrying of the EMF based, SMPS based, which are not very high efficient, was creating a lot of EMF field, which was
True. True.
creating the problem of mobile call drop. So we came up with our own charger, which is an inbuilt DC charger, which has an efficiency of close to 90%. So compared to the chargers which they were earlier carrying, which had an efficiency of 30% to 70%. So it's a significant jump. So if an entrepreneur who wants to set up charging station, he would save an electricity of anywhere up to 50% to 40% of electricity just by using our chargers. And the technology and all that is a bonus.
Multiple things happen just by changing one thing. So coming back to the point, you just mentioned that your chargers don't require much connectivity or even a smartphone. Tell us a little bit more how it goes about doing authentication in that case. Are that a mathematics-based algorithms used? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, so it's a proprietary technology. It's a patent pending technology. What we basically do is we use a lot of prime numbers and very advanced level of mathematics to compress that entire. We do two things: encapsulation, and on top of that, we also do the encryption, where we encapsulate the entire charging request into a very small mathematical number, which will, when decrypted, when unencapsulated, it will tell you everything. Like for example, it will tell you what time and date this charging request is for. Number one. Number two, it will tell you how many watts of charging power this request is for. Number three is what is the duration of charging that you want this charging request to run for. And number four is for which charging point this request is for. And number five, it can also tell you whether you are a part of a special group, so that the special group policies can be applied. All these things, we compress it using prime numbers and all that, and advanced mathematics, and encapsulate it into a very small packet, and then encrypt it, so it becomes a 6-digit integer. And that 6-digit integer is a self-contained information which can be keyed in now to a keypad which is not connected to internet. So it's the same technology which people use at a spaceship. Like your spaceship is not always connected to, like ISS is not always connected to, a command takes about half an hour to reach to Earth. So it has to be an autonomous system which has to understand the command and then run on its own. So it runs like that. It does not require internet to take a request. Fantastic. It requires internet only in case of if it has to feedback a request that I'm down. And for that also we are using a very interesting thing. We are combining a lot of requests and then connecting with, now most of the smart cities are connected. Their energy database is connected. You can connect them and then find out on which areas the power has gone out.
Right. I mean, you're understanding the local difficulties that there may not be network everywhere, and not everyone might have access to a 4G SIM or a data SIM or even a smartphone. So this takes into account, and you're using high tech to solve a problem in such a way that it suits the Indian requirement. That is really awesome, Manish. Let's move on to the next question. You told us that your team has worked extensively on software and which accompanies the OnePlug charging equipment. Can you tell us a little bit about the features of that software, the app features, and the various things that go into it?
Right. So when we talk about software, there are two kinds of software that the team has built over time. So one is a mobile app, which is user facing, which goes for the user to book a charger. And now this app is like, if you've seen the mobile app for the charging has been there in the market for last 7-8 years, because it started from the Western world. The ChargePoint bought this app. Then there are so many Western companies who bought this app. But then there's a significant difference in the way we have designed our app. We have not followed the suit which they have done it. So it's a very different interface. So one of the interface that we differ from the Western world is we provide that what kind of facilities does the charging station has. Because what we realize is that the India still the most of the charging happens in a slower charging environment, or in an environment where a user has to spend anywhere between half an hour to 2 hours to a location to charge their vehicle based on what kind of vehicle is they carry. So we thought it's a good idea if we can let user know or let user search the charging station which has certain facilities like a library area, like a video game area, like a free Wi-Fi. Like you can then add n number of facilities to a charging station, and then user would be able to search it. Basic things still are available on our app. Like you can search what are the things which are available in the vicinity of my area. Or more advanced things like a recommendation engine, which has still not picked up even in the Western world. Now it's the first time we have put in a recommendation engine into a charging station. And now this has
Right.
been done on the purpose that if you are charged successfully on one particular charging station in, let's say, in Dharavi, and then you move on to a next location, let's say Bandra. Now my recommendation engine will be able to find a very suitable environment on what you charged last time in Bandra. Like, it's based on your preferences,
Yeah.
what kind of facilities you like, what kind of charging gun you had, what kind of charging speed you wanted, what kind of payments you wanted. All these are part of the recommendation engine, so it is inbuilt into it. So it makes it more convenient to charge it. Other than that, what it does is it allows you to add your vehicles. Like, you may have more than, we are looking at a future where we do not want people to carry any ICE vehicle. So he will have a two-wheeler which is a EV, he will have a couple of four-wheelers which are an EV, and he might have even a, let's say, a holiday vehicle which could be EV. So
Right.
all these EVs can be added as a part of my vehicles. And now whenever you use an app, and go for a charging, it will ask you that which vehicle you want to charge today, and then based on that, everything like changes. Like your
True.
even the list that you see, the kind of charging that you would do, and their pricing, and also it allows you to buy certain subscription packages. You can be on the group. So there are a lot
Right.
of things which are there in the app. Our charging management software, which is a newer thing. I mean, a lot of people in the Indian customer market may not understand
Right.
that. It is more suitable for the fleet operators, more suitable for the people who want to set up their own charging station. So there are two categories of people that we are targeting with this charging management software. We have been running a pilot with both this category of people, and we have seen a great response in improving their efficiency and the manageability of a charging station. You need to have proper user management. You need to have different pricing policies. You need to have a different group management. So it allows you all this, and plus it allows you to see a lot of reports, like how much did I earn today, what is the graph over the time as a charging station owner. And now when I talk
Right.
about the utility of charging management software for a fleet operator point of view, so there are three things that this provides which he cannot do without the charging station software. Number one is it can give him a pattern on across all his drivers, that what kind of charging patterns do they follow. So because for a healthy EV charging, a charging patterns depends a lot on the way the driver is charging it. How much of the slow charging he is doing, a ratio of slow charging versus the fast charging. And is it doing it only once in a day, or once in a month of a slow charging, or is it doing it uniformly? So it will give you a probability score of a battery life and assigns a driving score to each individual driver with a recommendation that as a fleet owner, using this software, you can improve the battery life of a vehicle. That's a very important thing that this does.
Basically, the drivers will use the app, and the administration staff then need to use the charge management software. That's what you say, in a
Perfect.
sense.
Yes,
And
exactly.
right.
That's what this whole thing works out. That it has been done
Right.
from the operational management at a point of view.
So, supposing you were just saying they were supposing a driver puts it on charge and goes off to lunch, what happens then?
Okay. So in this whole case, there's a group and the public policies, which the office admin can make a group policy that on a particular day, a driver cannot charge for more than half an hour. So in this case, if a vehicle is plugged in, after half an hour, the number one thing that happens is that the charger will be switched off, so that there is no wastage of electricity. And an alert goes out to the admin as well as to the driver that your vehicle is charged as per the quota. You need to remove it. It also goes to the and if there's a valet parking, then the alert also goes to the valet driver so that he can remove the car and then put in another car. So that's the kind of control that the policies can be made now.
Right, it's really close knit, and it seems to be covering all the bases. We understand that OnePlug also has DC charging equipment. Your team has worked with RRT in Chennai. Can you please tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah. So, Rafe, in that, when it comes to the DC charging equipment, what we have done is we are working with a renowned player who has been into the market for a very long time, taking all the electricals part of it, putting a logic onto it, putting the OTP part, putting the OCPP part, and all those, and then integrating with our software, the charging management software, as well as with our app. And what we have bought out is we have bought out two models. What we saw in a gap in the market is one is a 5 kilowatt of DC charger, another is a 10 kilowatt of DC charger. And out of them, only 5 kilowatt is deployed in a captive location, and 10 kilowatt will be done as soon as the lockout period is over. So we have been running it for I mean, when recently we started running it for quite some time, and then been observing the performance and what kind of charging benefits it gets, and those kind of things.
You've deployed 5 kilowatts and 10 kilowatts. You yet have to deploy, but isn't this quite a low rate of charging? What was the reason for doing it that way? Was it to keep the cost low?
That was one of the factor, but that was not the factor. But we have seen it from our experience, and we collected a lot of data. And the most of the chargers now with the Bharat protocol, which is a demand-based protocol. So let me spend a few minutes in explaining what is the demand-based protocol is.
Yes.
So demand-based protocol is when a vehicle demands the power. It is not that the charger will supply the power. So even if I have a 100 kilowatt of DC charger, the vehicle in Bharat protocol, vehicle demands the power. That this is the power I demand. Right. Now, what are the parameters vehicle demand the power? And why would vehicle demand lesser power than what it needs? It depends on a lot of parameters. And one of the critical parameter of that is a battery temperature. When a battery temperature goes high, the charger has to drop in the demand current, so that apparently it is actually asking the charger to supply lesser power, because it cannot afford to charge at a very high current rate, which will further increase the temperature. This is done to keeping in mind the safety of the vehicle. Now, what is the consequences and why we went for the 5 kilowatt? What we've seen from the observation, the user behavior is a fleet operator, which is a primary consumer for when it comes to the DC charging, is a driver has driven a car for, let's say, 100 kilometer, 120 kilometer, and then it takes a pit stop. Now, imagine the battery temperature when it takes a pit stop. Battery temperature is high. At that time, the most of the chargers supply a power. I mean, the vehicles demand a power of a lesser ampere. And that results in a power requirement of anywhere between, you would be surprised, sometimes it starts charging at a 3 kilowatt. Even the 5 kilowatt is in work. And then can go up to 7 or 8 kilowatts. So 60% of the time in the half an hour of slot, the vehicle charges at an average power of 5 kilowatts. So we thought that if we can come up with a charger which could be a 5 kilowatt of charger, then it solves a very critical problem. One is an initial investment that a fleet operator has to put in, and second is it is still meeting the 60% of its requirement. So for a pit stop of half an hour, this is a sweet spot that we identified 5 kilowatt. Similarly, 10 kilowatt is a sweet spot for a vehicles which are of higher capacity, like the newer version of EKU comes to the market. So that's the point that we have, or the e-Veritos. But most of the E2O plus, the 5 kilowatt is decent enough. More than enough. And it gives an approximately 50 kilometer plus range. I mean, it's up to 60 kilometer range in half an hour, which is a good amount for half an hour pit stop.
And what are the connectors that are used on these chargers? Are they GB/T?
Yeah, they are GB/T based on the Bharat protocol. So this is the connectors which are available in most of the cars which are there on the road as of now. So this is the current situation, and we work for the market.
So viewers, you've seen that all the hardware and all the software that has been created by OnePlug team, and this is not a hypothetical or theoretical discussion. This is something that they have on the road. They've actually started deploying these chargers. The charging equipment and software is actually production ready. It's being used by more than 130 electric vehicles every day.